Right now at 5, the man in Knoll, Missouri, accused of shooting a dog with an arrow, pleads guilty. Plus, we've got a very foggy start out there, at least for some of us, ahead of an absolutely beautiful Thursday. We'll take a look at that forecast. And multiple first responder agencies participate in an active shooter simulation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5 a.m. I'm Chris Warner, and we have got some pretty dense fog out there after a stormy night. Now, we managed to lock out last night. I know we were talking about that severe threat, but I think we should be relatively glad it didn't pan out as bad as it could have across the area. But we still got some much needed rain, and now that's left us with some not so much needed fog across the area. Taking a look at our camera at 7th and Rangeline, you can kind of see out there. There's not a lot to see right now, but you can see some things. And taking a look at MoDOT cameras around the Joplin metro area, we've got 32nd and Rangeline, I-44 and Rangeline, I-44 and Missouri 249, and this is down by I-44 and Main Street. You can see fog by 249. It's there, but it's not as dense, but you can see dense fog across the area. And the KDOT camera at 69 East 520 south of Pittsburgh, again, fog is there. It's not as dense as in other locations, but we're still dealing with it. And you can see where the densest fog is really isolated in the parts of Crawford County, Cherokee County, Jasper, Northern Newton, and a good portion of Barton County, where visibility is Joplin about a half a mile and right around half a mile too in Carthage. And I'm going to tell you right now, on my drive in here, my visibility was about 20 feet. It's pretty dense fog. So we, again, want to remind you, do not use your high beams. It will not help, and it will only hinder other drivers' ability to see. Use your low beams, and if you've got fog lights, absolutely use those as well. Dense fog advisories for Crawford and Cherokee counties in southeast Kansas, and then the majority of southwest Missouri with the exception of Bates County until 9 o'clock this morning. Here's why we have the fog. You see, when your temperature and your dew point are the same, I know they're not, but when they're the same, you get 100% humidity. They are 1 degree off, so our humidity is 96% out there, and with all the moisture we had yesterday, it is pretty dense. But we are sitting at 69, not a bad start aside from the fog. As for the rest of us, again, pretty decent. 68 Iola, 66 Fort Scott, 69 Chetopa, 67 Miami, and 68 in Neosho. You get your morning started. The fog will, of course, eventually burn off, and then we are looking at partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, near 80 by late morning. As we head into the afternoon, looking pretty good as well. Highs upper 80s, so yeah, warmer than yesterday for sure, but still below average across the area. And as we head into this evening, mostly clear skies, a great night ahead of us. Lows back into the lower 70s. We'll have another full look at your forecast, including that 7-day here in just a few more minutes. Well, the Knoll, Missouri man accused of shooting a dog with an arrow pled guilty in that case yesterday and has been sentenced. Authorities say while they couldn't prove that Jeffrey Howard shot the dog with the arrow, they could prove he didn't seek medical attention for it. So Howard pleaded guilty to failure to get medical care for a dog. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and must pay a $500 restitution to a Knoll Animal Rescue. The dog, named Noelle, has since recovered from the incident. She and her puppies were put up for adoption shortly after. Well, a 7-year-old boy is dead after what police in Missouri believe was an accidental shooting. This happened Monday in Berkeley, a suburb of St. Louis. Investigators say the shooting happened inside a truck. They're still trying to figure out who fired the shot.
When we see a situation like this, especially with a child, it's just unimaginable what this family and loved ones are going through. So obviously our prayers are with them.
It's unclear if anyone was in the vehicle with the boy. It was only a drill, but it was meant to look and feel like the real thing, an active shooter simulation in Neosho. Yesterday was a joint exercise involving first responders from multiple agencies. The idea was to allow responder agencies to evaluate current procedures and make needed improvements for possible real-world events and worst-case scenarios.
Active shooters, basically. We've had some suicidal scenarios, active shooter. Basically, we've had wounded people, actors playing as wounded people, hostage rescue sort of thing. Communications is always a big issue between different agencies, and that's what they're working on to try to perfect, to make sure we can get through this if something ever happens, God forbid.
In addition to the Sheriff's Office, participants in the exercise that included police, fire, and ambulance workers from various communities in the county, along with the Missouri Highway Patrol. The Kansas Department of Transportation says it's stopping work on the US 69 corridor western alignment through Crawford County. The project would expand an 18-mile corridor of US 69 to a 4-lane freeway starting at the Cherokee-Crawford County line and continuing north of the city of Arma. It would have led traffic around many towns in the area, which led to a lot of pushback from residents and public discussions. KDOT says that pushback is the reason they're stopping that plan. They'll conduct a new survey to figure out the next steps later in the year. A new report from Wallet Hub shines a less than flattering light on the states with the most underprivileged children. The report stems from August being Child Support Awareness Month and 1 in 6 children in the U.S. living in poverty. A couple of area states landed in the top 10, with Arkansas coming in at 6th and Oklahoma ranking 9th. The states with the highest rankings have the most underprivileged children. Missouri ranked 25th, Kansas ranked 33rd, Alaska claimed the dubious top spot, while New Jersey ranked best in the nation. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather. Wow, in our first 7 minutes, we're excited to move on with the KOAM Morning News, and 78 of the best junior golfers from across the country and around the world make their way to Joplin for the AJGA Junior Championship. Well, more details on this in sports, plus how using some acid reflux medication could be linked to dementia if used long term. And we'll see how your Thursday is shaping up with another look at that forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Well, 78 of the best junior golfers from across the country and around the world are making their way to Joplin this week to participate in the AJGA Junior Championship at Twin Hills Country Club. The field consists of 12 to 19-year-old players that are primarily competing in order to obtain scholarships to college. The tournament runs through Friday. It's 54 holes, with the first round happening yesterday, and the AJGA has a long history of producing some of the best to join the Pro Tour, like Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. And the Joplin Sports Authority, which was instrumental in bringing this tournament to the area, is grateful to see years of hard work paying off.
It's been a 2-year process. A few years back, we contacted AJGA, and they were then responding with us, and we've had several meetings about it in the process and had to really work with Twin Hills to make sure it happened, because it really need them to be on board, and they thought it was a great idea, but it was a 2-year process to really get this thing off the ground.
The AJGA is an elite level, we say high school, but it's 12 to 19-year-olds in total, elite level junior golf. We have had quite a few big names, as you mentioned, so a couple of them, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, some of the most recent ones that are on tour, but pretty much everybody you see on the PGA Tour and Korn Ferry kind of came through the AJGA at some point.
Meanwhile, another day means another visit to a local high school football practice in Missouri. For most schools in the area, yesterday marked another first, the first day in full pads, and one of the schools is excited to hit each other is the Monette Cubs. They're coming off a sub-500 season that did include a playoff win in 2022, and this year's Monette team is very young after 20-plus seniors graduated over the spring. For second-year head coach Ethan Lewis, the early part of the season is about setting and achieving small goals.
You know, for these guys, I just want them to get better each week. I know that's very cliche to say, but for us, it's being young. I think understanding that there's a process and that we're going to continue to get better, I think it's very important, and that's my goal this week or this year.
Being the leader I have to be, you know, for such a young class we are, keeping that ability to keep up with this team and really showing that we're really young, but we can be really good.
Still to come, Lebanon and Kuwait are the latest countries to ban the movie Barbie from being seen in their theaters. Plus, we're going to take another look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:14 a.m. on this Thursday morning. It is almost Friday, believe it or not. I like that. And we're heading into our Thursday with just about zero visibility in some locations. We've got dense fog around parts of the area. It's relatively confined, but you see from the various MoDOT cameras around the Joplin metro area, now even at 249, we mentioned at the start of the show, wasn't this foggy there? That fog is starting to pick up. And from the KDOT camera just south of Pittsburgh on 69, there is fog. It's starting to thicken up a bit, but it's not as bad as it is off to the south and east of Pittsburgh. So you got about a mile and a half or so visibility in Pittsburgh. That dense fog really across eastern Cherokee, Crawford counties into the majority of Jasper County, southern Barton, and parts of northern Newton County, where you can see we've got about a half-mile visibility in Joplin and Carthage. So if you're traveling I-44, I-49, or parts of Highway 69, you need to make sure you're slowing down, giving yourself time. Don't use your high beams, use your low beams, your fog beams if you've got them. And we have the dense fog advisories for Crawford, Cherokee counties and southeast Kansas and most of southwest Missouri through 9 o'clock this morning. And again, quick look, that's why we have a dense fog advisory. We're sitting at 69 in Joplin, and because the visibility is less than a mile, this says the visibility is 0 miles. And my drive in here, the visibility was all of maybe 10, 20 feet. And you get 100% humidity when your dew point and temperature are the same. And since they're 1 degree off, we're at 96% humidity, and that's why we've got all that fog. Plenty of moisture out there to work with right now. Good temperatures around the area this morning. 68 Iola, 66 Chanute, 65 in Parsons, 67 Miami, 68 Neosho, Carthage, and 66 Pittsburgh, Lamar. As we get our morning started, the fog, of course, will eventually burn off, go away. It's still August, still summertime, and we're going to warm up. We're looking at partly cloudy, mostly clear skies, near 80 by late morning, so we're going to be warmer than where we were yesterday, but still just a pinch below average as we go upper 80s across the area, but a beautiful day. This forecast is considerably more condensed simply because today is a much calmer, much nicer day across the region. We've got mostly clear skies heading into the evening and overnight, and a beautiful night to get out there as well. We're going back lower 70s. And as we look ahead, not bad, other than the fact we start to heat up. And that's the problem because it is still August, it is still summertime, and Mother Nature's not quite done with us yet. We do have pop-up storm chances Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, as you know, with pop-up storms, not everybody's going to get rain, and some of those on occasion can be a bit on the strong side with small hail gusty winds. We're not anticipating anything crazy, but just some pop-up storm chances. We get into the mid-90s Friday, Saturday, low 90s Sunday, cooling off a little bit by Monday, back into the upper 80s, so we drop right below average again, but it does not take long for those temperatures to turn back around, and you see they kind of fluctuate a bit. We go back up near 100 Wednesday, then we get some thunderstorm chances Thursday, temperatures drop a bit. We hold on to some pop-up storm chances as we go into Friday and Saturday, but unfortunately, as you can see, our temperatures return right back near 100 degrees. And of course, that makes our overnights less than pleasant again because we'll have our nice evening lows, low 70s, upper 60s. Look at this, even mid 60s Monday night. And then, of course, once we start to heat up again, it puts our overnight lows back up close to 80 degrees. So not too comfortable out there at all, but not a bad forecast considering what we had a couple of weeks ago with triple digits nearly every day. That is a quick check of your forecast. We are back with Health Watch right after this. Certain acid reflux medications is associated with a higher risk of dementia. Population-based study found people 45 years old and up inhibitors for more than 4 years had a 33% higher risk of developing dementia than people who never took the drugs. Study author says the study does not prove acid reflux drugs cause dementia, but that there is an association. The author recommends patients talk to their doctors about their medications. Well, the number of people dying or being disabled from heart problems caused by has jumped since 1990. That's according to a study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association on Wednesday. Researchers took a closer look at particle pollution, a particularly deadly form of pollution where tiny particles in the air can get stuck in your lungs or go into your bloodstream. The scientists say they analyzed global research gathered in 2019 and discovered a steep increase in mortality and disability cases caused by 2 heart diseases linked to particle matter pollution. After significant declines in routine vaccinations during the COVID-19 pandemic, global health officials say immunization numbers are inching back up. However, around the world, there are still millions of children missing out on vaccines that could save their lives. Here in the U.S., health experts are urging people of all ages to roll up their sleeves and protect themselves. Mandy Gaither has more on why routine vaccines are critical in honor of National Immunization Month.
It's a way to protect your health and guard against getting others sick.
Immunizations protect against severe disease and illness, disability, and even death.
Dr. Neha V.S. with Cleveland Clinic says for adults, routine vaccinations include a tetanus shot, shingles vaccines for those over 50 or immunocompromised. The CDC recommends 2 doses separated by 2 to 6 months. A vaccine protecting against pneumonia, along with an annual fall flu shot. She says to also make sure you're up to date on your COVID-19 vaccinations.
And a new one called the RSV vaccine, which is respiratory syncytial virus. And it's for adults ages 60 years and older.
For children, Via says routine vaccinations also include tetanus, pneumonia, flu, and being up to date on COVID-19 boosters. She says meningococcal vaccines and the vaccine to protect against the human papillomavirus should also be given.
Children have a very strong immune response. So the younger they are, the more they can develop a healthy immune response.
There are also simple steps you can take to stay healthy beyond vaccines.
Proper hand washing techniques, staying home when you're sick, and also don't forget to wear masks if you're around crowded areas and you're not feeling well.
The doctor says that unlike many other viruses, the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is a threat year-round, not just in the fall and winter. That's why she says it's important to stay up to date on COVID-19 vaccinations. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, and we're keeping an eye on some fairly dense fog across the area. Some of us, visibility's down less than half a mile across the area. We're going to have another complete look at your forecast as soon as the KOAM Morning News returns. Right now at 5:30, National Safety Apparel not only prepares to close for good, but prepares for a giveaway as well. Plus, some of us dealing with some dense fog across the area, but we've got a great Thursday ahead of us. Take a look at that forecast. And we're going to take you to Pittsburgh to learn about the final day of the city's corporate challenge.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:27 on this Thursday morning, one step closer to Friday here in the 4 states. I know many of us looking forward to that, and we've got ourselves an absolutely gorgeous Thursday ahead of us after we got much needed rainfall. Now, unfortunately, some of us did have to deal with some flash flooding yesterday just because we were getting a little too much rain in too short a time, but I don't think anyone was complaining about the rain that we ultimately got because we have needed rain across the area so bad. And I know we've been talking about the long-range precipitation forecasts keep us with an above-average precipitation as we head into the fall, and hopefully this is the catalyst of that. We're going to maybe see a few more rain chances out there. This morning, though, we're dealing with dense fog across the area. You can see from the KDOT camera at US 69 and East 520th Avenue, the fog not super dense right there, but it has thickened up a bit as the morning has been ongoing, and our densest fog is really confined. Well, okay, see, the fog tracker updates, I believe, every half hour, and you can see where now that dense fog beginning to spread. Unfortunately, right along the I-44 corridor from Mount Vernon back toward Joplin and into northeastern Oklahoma toward Miami. We have some dense fog, Cherokee County, Ottawa County, parts of Newton, Jasper, Barton, and into Berry and Lawrence counties as well. So you need to make sure, don't use your high beams, make sure you're driving slow, giving yourself time to get where you're going, and use your fog beams if you've got them. But if you're on I-49, parts of 69, I-44, you need to make sure that you are prepared for some dense fog. And as such, we have dense fog advisories for Crawford, Cherokee counties in Kansas, and the rest of southwest Missouri, excluding Bates County, until 9 o'clock this morning. All right. in Joplin right now, it's so foggy, it's just pitch black. I'm just kidding. It's not that dark, but it is very foggy in the Joplin area right now, sitting at 69 out there with our humidity at 96%. Temperatures around the region, we got 66 Lamar, Fort Scott, 65 Chanute, Parsons, Pittsburgh, 67 Miami, and 68 Neosho. So overall, temperature-wise, not a bad start to our Thursday. We're going to stick with those partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Temperatures pushing near 80 by late morning, and we're still warmer today than yesterday because we're going to see a lot more sunshine. But the good news is, at least right now, we're anticipating to be a couple of degrees below normal for this time of year. You're not really going to notice that it's a couple of degrees below normal, but that's what we've got. 88 for our high. We go into the evening, gorgeous evening. Wonderful out there, mostly clear skies, down into the upper 70s by 10 o'clock. Overnight lows back into the lower 70s. As we look ahead, we will start to warm up. We have pop-up storm chances heading into the weekend, temperatures mid-90s, and then they'll cool back down briefly at the start of next week before they turn around and heat right back up again. Well, the National Safety Apparel, or NSA plant in Baxter Springs is preparing to button up for good. The plant that employs about 63 people is closing on September 29th. In the meantime, it's gradually giving away its discounted apparel. Employees get first pick, and what's left goes to the public.
They will be giving away material, shirt material, jacket material, quilt, lining, knit, collars, welts, buttons, thread, zippers, anything it does take to make a jacket.
Now, before NSA bought the facility, it operated for years as the apparel manufacturer King Louie. Well, yesterday was the final day of Pittsburgh's annual corporate challenge. Challenge is to get the community out for activities that promote team building and employee engagement. Last year, about 4 local businesses participated. This year, there's 8 in total.
Like I said, tonight we're partnering with, I think, 4 different businesses tonight. And then we also partner with Four Oaks Golf Course. We do bowling, so that goes to the bowling alley here. We try to stay local with everything.
The city of Pittsburgh wants to remind you that shopping local all year benefits the community. Republican lawmakers are accusing the president of acting out of political spite, keeping the U.S. Space Command headquarters in Colorado instead of moving it to Alabama. The Biden administration is denying the allegation. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
Before leaving office, former President Trump decided Space Command should be based in Alabama. But his vision failed to leave the launch pad after President Biden chose to keep the command in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs has been the home for Space Command for a long time, and it should have never been taken away.
U.S. officials say staying in Colorado, also home to NORAD, would allow the command to maintain military readiness at a time when the U.S. is racing to compete with China in space.
The Department of the Air Force did a has been doing a very thorough analysis and assessment for some time.
But some Republican lawmakers think politics may have played a part. They're pointing to Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville's blockade of military promotions. Tuberville is protesting the Pentagon's policy to cover the cost for service members who travel out of state to receive an abortion.
Look, I think Alabama had a lot to offer in this situation, and I think it was a tough decision. But frankly, part of this decision was probably based on, and I don't have inside information on this, but my guess is it was probably based on Senator Tuberville holding up nominations.
For his part, Tuberville doubts his maneuver contributed to the president's decision.
This decision was made probably 2 years ago. They just didn't have enough guts to come out and say this is what we're going to do.
Now, several Republican lawmakers say they're not going down without a fight, pledging to investigate President Biden's decision. And that's a look at some of our top stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We're going to meet one group in Washington, D.C. who is out to save birds that are injured from flying into homes and buildings. Plus, North Korea fires its top general as Kim Jong-un calls for war preparations. And the latest on that as well. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. But first, got a live look from City Park in Columbus, Kansas. Topping World Watch, a tragedy at sea that has become all too familiar. The Red Cross reports that at least 41 people are believed to have died in a migrant shipwreck near the Italian island of Lampedusa last week. Comes amid a spike in the number of migrants making the treacherous journey from North Africa to Europe. The Red Cross spoke to some survivors who say the boat left Tunisia several days ago. The Italian government says so far this year, more than 93,000 people have arrived in Italy by boat. That's more than double the number over the same period in the previous year. Well, Barbie movie mania has turned the world hot pink, but some countries are seeing red. Lebanon and Kuwait have decided to ban the film from all theaters across their nations, claiming it offends moral values. In Lebanon, the film is accused of promoting homosexuality, and Kuwait claims Barbie carries ideas that encourage unacceptable behavior and a message that distorts the prevailing values of society. The movie was scheduled to be released in both countries later this month. Barbie has made more than $1 billion and counting at the global box office since its release. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has fired his top general and ordered his military to step up war preparations. Kim made the announcement during a meeting of the Central Military Commission on Wednesday. These photos of the meeting were published by state media. Kim also called for increased weapons production and an expansion of war drills. North Korea has ramped up its military rhetoric this summer, prompting South Korea to be on high alert. After nearly 2 weeks in captivity, an American nurse and her child have been released from Haiti. It comes as gang warfare becomes more common in the country. Nate Foy has more.
New Hampshire nurse Alex Dorsonville and her daughter have been freed from kidnappers in Haiti. The Christian nonprofit Elroy Haiti confirming the news in a statement Wednesday with a, quote, heart of gratitude and immense joy, adding, quote, there is still much to process and to heal from in this situation. The two were abducted on July 27th from the clinic where Dorsonville worked. The U.S. State Department and Haitian authorities worked for nearly 2 weeks to secure the mother and daughter's release.
We have no greater priority, of course, than the safety and security of U.S. citizens overseas. We express our deepest appreciation to our Haitian and U.S. interagency partners.
It's the latest kidnapping in what's become an epidemic in Haiti. The country seeing an increase in gang warfare since the assassination of its president in 2021. On Monday, thousands of people marched through the capital of Port-au-Prince, demanding protection. The protest and nearby gunfire forced the U.S. Embassy to close public services the past 2 days. In July, Kenya offered to lead a multinational police force in Haiti to help curb the violence.
The Kenyans are used to some very difficult situations in Africa. They've dealt with al-Shabaab and violence in Kenya. Their soldiers are tough, they're competent.
According to a recent UN report, more than 1,000 people were kidnapped in Haiti between January and June of this year. Well, the World Bank says it will suspend new loans to Uganda and pause project financing over the country's controversial anti-LGBTQ law. In a statement, the bank said Uganda's Anti-Homosexuality Act fundamentally contradicts the World Bank Group's values. The bank says it will continue to review the situation in the East African nation. The law in Uganda bans gay marriage, punishes same-sex acts with life imprisonment, and calls for the death penalty for aggravated homosexuality. It criminalizes other same-sex conduct, too. In response, reports say that Uganda dismissed the move as unjust and hypocritical. An American woman accused of conspiring with 2 Bahamian men to kill her husband is out of jail. A judge in Nassau granted 36-year-old Lindsay Shiver a bail of $100,000 Wednesday. She posted that bond and will be fitted with an electronic monitoring device. Shiver must report to a police station in Nassau 3 times a week and has to be in her local home between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. every night. That's at least until her next hearing scheduled for October the 5th. Shiver is from Thomasville, Georgia, and is accused of conspiring to kill her husband, Robert Shiver, in the Bahamas. The couple filed for divorce months ago. 2 Bahamian men accused of conspiring with her were previously released on bond. Well, 2 Russian cosmonauts took a spacewalk on Wednesday. The spacewalk began shortly before 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The 2 cosmonauts, Dmitry Petelin and Sergei Prokopyev, traveled outside the International Space Station to attach new shields to the module. Both men have completed several other walks in their careers. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back. It's me. It's okay. Go ahead. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:44 on this Thursday morning. We got some fog out there across the area. Taking a look at the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. It's been thickening up just a bit. It's not super dense, but it is dense enough that you got to be taking precautions. And we are starting to see this dense fog overspreading more of the area as the morning goes on. As the fog tracker continues to update, look at this. Pittsburgh reporting half-mile visibility, right around half-mile Joplin and Carthage, and just over a mile visibility Miami and Mount Vernon, about 2 miles Parsons and Chanute as this fog continues to build across the area because we got plenty of moisture out there. And as I've mentioned earlier, just my drive from Joplin to here, visibility, and I'm not being crazy here, it's about maybe 20 feet. So you need to turn your high beams off. Make sure you've got your fog beams on if you've got them. If you don't, just leave on your low beams because your high beams, they're not going to help you, and they're certainly not going to help the other drivers on the road. So if you're traveling I-44, I-49, 69, 400, you need to make sure, and 160, you got to make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time to get where you're going. As of right now, still dense fog advisories for Crawford, Cherokee counties, and then the majority of southwest Missouri through 9 a.m. So you got to make sure that you're watching out for this fog out there. In Joplin, I know this is the KDOT camera, but we're just showing you some of that fog. It is foggy in Joplin, 69 out there. So temperature-wise, it's not a bad start this morning, but it is very foggy for some of us. 65 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 66 in Chanute, 68 Miami, 68 in Neosho, as well as Carthage, and 65 over in Monette. As we get our morning started, we'll eventually, of course, see this fog burn off, hence why the advisories only run so far. And then we're going to be partly cloudy to mostly clear. We have an absolutely beautiful day across the area. We just got so much rain yesterday, and then again in the evening, and with the temperatures and the humidity, the dew point, you combine all that, that's why we've got that fog this morning. But after it's gone, wonderful day out there, pushing near 80 by late morning. As we head into the afternoon, again, not too terribly bad either. We're going to go back into the mid to upper 80s, so still a pinch below average. You're honestly not going to be able to tell the difference between 88 and 90 unless you're just extraordinarily sensitive to temperature changes. But otherwise, a beautiful day. We've got mostly clear, partly cloudy skies. A wonderful opportunity to get outside, enjoy it, and the air is going to smell nice and crisp and fresh thanks to the fog and all the rain and everything. It'll feel very refreshing today across the area. As we head into the evening, same situation. Of course, we're going to be cooling down as the sun goes down, but otherwise not bad. Warm overnight, not bad either. Back into the lower 70s under mostly clear skies across the area. So again, a great opportunity to get outside, enjoy some time under the stars on a nice warm summer evening. Maybe open the windows. It takes you way back, you know, when you're a kid and you got the fan in the window and you can it's a great night for all that stuff. And enjoy it because we're going to start fluctuating with our temperatures. We get hotter starting tomorrow, back in the mid to upper 90s. Same on Saturday. Pop-up storm chances Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Our temperatures are going to bounce around a little bit over the next few days. They're going to go from not too bad, upper 80s, lower 90s, to, oh my gosh, what is Mother Nature doing to me right now? And it's going to do that over the next several days, as you can see, because look at Wednesday. That's an, oh my gosh, what are you doing to me kind of day. And then by Thursday, yeah, 90's hot, but it's like, oh, okay, I can manage this. There's some thunderstorm chances as well. And those continue with us through Saturday. And then Mother Nature turns around and just kicks us right in the teeth and turns those temperatures back up as we go back into the upper 90s, near 100 degrees. So it's going to be a little hard to adjust. At least when we had our last round of triple-digit weather, it was consistent. We didn't go from triple digits to, oh, this is a pleasant day, to triple digits again. But here over the next few days, temperatures are going to bounce around a bit, so just be prepared for it to be really hot and then not so hot over the next few days. And the best thing is we do have those scattered rain chances, so we definitely need more rain across the area. That is a check of your forecast. We'll be right back after this. But first, we're going to take another live look from City Park in the fog in Columbus.
Working to save birds who are injured flying into homes and buildings. As more and more states adopt bird safety measures, Nicole Killian tells us what's being done.
On any given morning, Lisbeth Fuse walks the streets of the nation's capital.
It's become a kind of personal mission.
That mission, as a volunteer citizen scientist with the group Lights Out DC, is to find birds. But this bird-watching expedition is not what you might expect. In most cases, Lisbeth and her team are not looking to the sky.
There's a bird.
But to the ground, collecting dead fowl after they've collided with buildings.
This is a huge problem. They estimate that somewhere between 300 and 1 billion birds a year die in the United States from window collisions. And these are migratory birds. So we are interested in documenting this problem so that people become aware of the issue.
It's an issue that motivated the redesign of the birdhouse at the National Zoo, which features dozens of species native to North America. It's one of the first in the country to create a structure that's completely bird-friendly.
What makes it bird-friendly?
What makes it bird-friendly is you can see the 2-inch horizontal stripes, and so birds perceive that as something they can't fly through.
Sarah Halliger is a curator for the exhibit.
Most birds are hitting glass because they see some sort of reflection and they think that's a tree in the glass, and so they want to fly to that tree. They're usually flying at very high speeds, and so then they hit the glass, and it's either a lethal strike or they're injured.
Halliger says about half of those collisions occur in homes and are easily avoidable.
Put some little paint or get your kids involved and paint this window. You just want to stop birds from hitting. Anything that reduces the reflection will stop birds from hitting glass.
So putting a dot like this reduces the reflection.
As long as it's appropriately spaced.
Nearly 24 cities and states have adopted bird-safe measures, such as requiring buildings to use bird-friendly glass or reduce artificial lighting. Efforts welcomed by Lisbeth.
We're part of this problem, and we can be part of the solution.
Solutions taking flight to keep nature's aviators soaring. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Washington.
A mural in Marcellus is getting a makeover after 46 years and helping get history right. The original mural, put up in 1977, featured a seemingly made-up tribal chief, and now a local artist is helping the tribe rewrite their story.
Ruth Andrews, local artist from Cassopolis, was commissioned to paint the mural by the Jones family. The mural features a story from the local Pokagon tribe, but there was one problem Andrews faced. There was a part of the story the Pokagon tribe said is false.
After I read the newspaper clippings, I was a little bit concerned because it mentioned a chief Pokemon, and I didn't know if that was accurate. So I got a hold of the tribe, and it turned out that the tribe has a whole outreach representation board.
After getting in contact with the tribe, Andrews says a tribe member, Justin Johnson, drew an outline with parts of their story they want to highlight, which focuses mainly on the tribe's 5 clans.
Well, so I am shocked at how many things I thought were native that were brought in later, such as daylilies, Queen Anne's lace, mullenweed, things that are just part of kind of our internal landscape from Michigan that we take for granted. No, those were not here.
Andrews says at first she thought it would be a less creative project, but it's turned out to be one of her most creative as she's been able to do research and have fun with it.
I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to do this. It has been full of surprises, and I like surprises.
The mural is slated to be finished in September. Andrews says she's enjoyed the process, getting to understand the story of the tribe, inviting her friends to help her paint and see it all come to life. And the British Navy was on a mission in the Caribbean to help save all those affected. The British Navy was on a mission in the Caribbean to help save turtles. Sailors with the Royal Navy helped clean up trash and debris on turtle habitats through the island of Curacao. Some 50 sailors from the destroyer HMS Dauntless work alongside members of a turtle conservation group to clean up and help check turtles there for disease. The sailors helped remove more than 440 pounds of ocean plastic. And this will be a special weekend for stargazers, professional and otherwise. The Perseid meteor shower hits its peak on August 12th and 13th when the crescent moon will be minimally illuminated according to Earth sky. Officials with the Abrams Planetarium at Michigan State University say dozens of meteors will zoom through the sky per hour. To get the best looks at this heavenly event, people are advised to find an area with little to no light pollution and hope that it's a cloud-free day. People in the Northern Hemisphere will have the best viewing, and the Perseid meteor shower ends on September 1st, which is the meteorological start of the fall season.
And it's almost going to feel like fall across the area as we head through the day. We're looking at temperatures going into about the upper 70s by late morning, and then we will head into the mid to upper 80s for our highs today once this fog begins to burn off across the area. And then as we head into the week ahead, we've got ourselves some fluctuating temperatures to say the least. And let me switch this back to the right button here, and that'll get us to that 7-day forecast. There we are. Take a look at that. We are looking at the upper 90s, mid to upper 90s tomorrow and Saturday. Pop-up storm chances all the way through Monday. Then Sunday and Monday, we cool back a little, low 90s, upper 80s, low 90s again on Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, temperatures soar once again in the mid to upper 90s. Let's check your forecast. Get another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, KDOT stops work on the US 69 corridor due to feedback and pushback.
And we've got a fairly foggy start out there across the area this morning. We'll take a look at that fog and what happens after it goes away coming up.
Plus, first responders from multiple agencies head to Neosho, Missouri to take part in an active shooter simulation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 a.m. now on this Thursday. We are that much closer to Friday here in the 4 states.
Yes, and I noticed driving into work this morning, fog is a serious problem. I could barely see anything.
Yeah, that fog is very dense. On my way in, I'm telling you, the visibility couldn't have been more than maybe 20 feet ahead of me. So we've got some fairly dense fog. You've got to make sure that you are taking precautions, driving slowly. Don't use your high beams, use your low beams. And of course, if you've got fog lights, we encourage that because as you can see, that fog's still fairly dense, even from our camera at 7th and Range Line. We'll take a look at the MoDOT cameras around the Joplin metro area. Some of them looking slightly clear. You can still see fog at 32nd and Range Line, and you can still see fog. It's 249 and I-44, and then just to the south of 32nd and Range Line at the Diverging Diamond and over at Main Street at the I-44 exit there. So we've still got that fog across the area, and the fog now denser on the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. Earlier, you could still kind of see things. It's picked up and it's gotten a lot denser up there around the Pittsburgh area. We've got that dense fog right along the I-44 corridor and points north. Look at Mount Vernon reporting zero visibility right now. You have got to go slow, especially if you're traveling I-44, I-49, and parts of Highway 69. We've got 0.2 of a mile in Carthage and just about a half-mile visibility in Joplin and less than a mile in Miami. And we've got dense fog advisories for at least Crawford, Cherokee counties, and then the rest of southwest Missouri, and these run through 9 a.m. In Joplin right now, of course, we've got the fog. It is 69, so temperature-wise, not bad, and a fairly decent start across the area with our temperatures. 66 Fort Scott, Iola, Chanute, and Neodesha. 65 Parsons, Pittsburgh, Lamar. 68 Miami, and 67 in Neosho. We'll have another full look at your forecast and how wonderful this Thursday is going to be in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, the No Missouri man accused of shooting a dog with an arrow pled guilty in that case yesterday and has been sentenced. Authorities say while they couldn't prove that Jeffrey Howard shot the dog with the arrow, they could prove he didn't seek medical attention for it. So Howard pleaded guilty to failure to get medical care for a dog. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and must pay $500 in restitution to a Knoll Animal Rescue. The dog named Noel has since recovered from the incident. Her and her puppies were put up for adoption shortly after. And a 7-year-old boy is dead after what police in Missouri believe was an accidental shooting. This happened Monday in Berkeley, a suburb of St. Louis. Investigators say the shooting happened inside a truck. They're still trying to figure out who fired the shot.
When we see a situation like this, especially with a child, it's just unimaginable what this family and loved ones are going through. So obviously our prayers are with them.
It is unclear if anyone was in the vehicle with the boy. It was only a drill, but it was meant to look and feel like the real thing. An active shooter simulation in Neosho, Missouri yesterday was a joint exercise involving first responders from multiple agencies. The idea was to allow responder agencies to evaluate current procedures and make needed improvements for possible real-world events.
Active shooters, basically. We've had some suicidal scenarios, active shooter. Basically, we've had wounded people, actors playing as wounded people. Hostage rescue sort of thing. Communications is always a big issue between different agencies, and that's what they're working on to try to perfect, to make sure we can get through this if something ever happens, God forbid.
Drill helped expose some potential communication problems between responders that need to be corrected. In addition to the Sheriff's Office, participants in the exercise include police, fire, and ambulance workers from various communities in the county, along with the Missouri Highway Patrol. And the Kansas Department of Transportation says it's stopping work on the US 69 corridor western alignment through Crawford County. The project would expand an 18-mile corridor of US 69 to a 4-lane freeway starting at the Cherokee-Crawford County line and continuing north of the city of Arma. It would have led traffic around many towns in the area, which led to a lot of pushback from residents and public discussions. KDOT says that pushback is the reason they're stopping that plan. They'll conduct a new survey to figure out the next steps later in the year. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Yesterday was the final day of Pittsburgh's annual Corporate Challenge. The challenge is to get the community out for activities that promote team building and employee engagement. Last year, about 4 local businesses participated. This year, there's 8 in total.
The Pittsburgh and Joplin communities are very supportive of Main Street Axe Company. We love working with them. Events like today is just, speaks of the support that the city has for us and other businesses that are participating in this week's event.
The City of Pittsburgh wants to remind you that shopping local all year benefits the community. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Officials say at least 36 people are dead and thousands displaced after wildfires quickly burned through the Hawaiian island. Plus, Joe Biden is set to unveil new bans on investments in China. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Thursday forecast. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from City Park in Columbus, Kansas. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Special Counsel Jack Smith got a search warrant of former President Donald Trump's Twitter account. That's according to a newly unsealed court filing. Smith's investigation into the real Donald Trump Twitter account is reported to be related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The search warrant that Smith obtained in Washington, D.C. District Court sought data and records related to the former president's account. Twitter and the special counsel's office spent several months litigating the question of whether Trump should be told about it. Ultimately, Twitter, now rebranded as X, was barred from telling Trump about the search warrant. The company was fined $350,000 because it delayed turning over the records sought. And Wednesday, President Joe Biden is set to unveil new bans on investments in China, specifically those in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and semiconductors. According to sources, the new rules are meant to protect national security, and the rules also call for more government visibility into U.S. investments in China. They will take effect in several months, and this comes as the U.S. and China engage in tit-for-tat export restrictions on high-tech products. And a federal appeals court struck down a decades-old law barring users of illegal drugs from possessing firearms. It's the latest blow to U.S. gun regulations after the Supreme Court cleared the way last year for courts to re-examine the nation's gun laws under a new legal standard. It was unanimous judgment Wednesday from a 3-judge panel at the New Orleans-based appeals court. The court said the 1968 law is unconstitutional, and it cited a landmark 2022 Supreme Court decision that changes the framework that lower courts must use when analyzing gun restrictions. The ruling means that the man who brought the gun and the challenge to the regulation will have his 2022 conviction under the law thrown out. It also means other defendants convicted under the law within the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals jurisdiction could seek to challenge their convictions. And this morning, at least 6 people are dead and thousands displaced after wildfires quickly burned through the Hawaiian island of Maui. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest from New York.
A piece of paradise lost. Charred remains on Maui after terrifying flames burned through the iconic Hawaiian island.
Fires were starting to spread in different areas, so you really couldn't plan a particular area to be safe.
Thousands scrambled for shelter as flames roared through residential neighborhoods.
This was a home.
Historic Lahaina, once the capital of the Hawaiian kingdom, incinerated. The flames were fueled by strong winds from Hurricane Dora, the storm passing well south of the Hawaiian Islands.
We never anticipated in this state that a hurricane which did not make impact on our islands will cause this type of wildfires.
Oh my God! From Richie Olson's helicopter, a smoky view of the scope of destruction. According to officials, nearly 300 structures burned to the ground.
Well, I've flown on Maui for 52 years, and all the different fires and things that we've had going on here in 52 years, I've never seen anything 1/100th as the devastation there.
As visitors wait in long lines at airports trying to get off the island, shelters are packed with residents who have nowhere else to go. Though help begins to pour in, there are concerns that Maui's relative isolation could make recovery that much more difficult.
Said they're still in search and rescue mode since there are several people unaccounted for, though he says they could have been sheltering in vehicles or other places. The acting governor issued an emergency proclamation discouraging all non-essential travel. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at their forecast.
Yeah, we've got some dense fog across parts of the area this morning. As you can see, it's thickening back up at our camera on 7th and Rangeline. We'll take another full look at that forecast and how the rest of our Thursday is shaping up when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:15 now on this Thursday morning. And as you can see, it is a very foggy Thursday morning across the area. It's our camera at 7th and Rangeline, and you can kind of make out at least the Forest Park sign, the Big Lot sign. That's really about it, as that fog is still pretty thick. Taking a look at MoDOT cameras around the metro area from Main Street and I-44, 32nd and Rangeline, the diverging diamond just south of 32nd and Rangeline, and from I-44 and 249, you can see that fog is still thick across most of the area. Excuse me, and it is spreading. This is the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. And as you can see, the fog is thickening up there as well. The latest on the fog tracker showing where that dense fog is. A lot of it in southwest Missouri, but spreading into southeast Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. So right along the I-44 corridor, Mount Vernon reporting 0 visibility at this point. And so even Nevada now, less than a mile. Pittsburgh at 2.2, Miami less than a mile. And we're sitting at 0.2 of a mile visibility in Carthage, half-mile visibility in Joplin. So if you are on Highway 69, I-44, I-49, 400, 160, you've got to make sure you're slowing down, taking time, give yourself time to get to wherever you're going this morning, because this fog is extraordinarily dense and that's very dangerous. And of course, we want to remind you, use your low beams and your fog beams. Do not use your high beams. It doesn't help you, and it certainly doesn't help the other drivers on the road. We have dense fog advisories, Crawford, Cherokee counties in Kansas, and then in southwest Missouri. These run through 9 a.m. So just, again, be prepared for this, because as you can see, it is very dense out there. Sitting at 69 in Joplin, and our dew point 68, putting our humidity at 96%, hence the fog. Plenty of moisture to work with out there from the rain yesterday morning and into the evening. And then, of course, just the conditions we have this morning. It's just a perfect mix for fog across parts of the region. We got decent temperatures to start the day, though. 66 in Fort Scott, Nevada, Iola, Chanute, Neodesha, 65 Parsons, Pittsburgh, 68 Miami, 67 Neosho, Carthage. A little warmer in Chetopa, though, sitting at 71. As you get your morning started, we're going to, of course, start off with the cloudy conditions, the fog, and then that'll begin to burn off. We're going to go partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Temperatures pushing into the upper 70s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at highs mid to upper 80s under partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. So an absolutely gorgeous day across the area, especially if you have some yard work to get done. done, today's a good day to do it. If you are off today, today's a good day just to sit out in the front lawn and enjoy this kind weather because summer's not quite done with us yet. We're going to hold on to mostly clear skies as we head through the evening hours back into the upper 70s by 10. Overnight lows into the lower 70s across the region, so a great night ahead of us. This is what I mean by Mother Nature's not quite done with summer yet, not quite done with us. Our temperatures are going to kind of bounce around a lot. This isn't like a couple of weeks ago where we had the triple digits. They were awful. They sucked, let's just be honest, but they were consistent. We had them for several days in a row. We knew what we were expecting. Temperatures are going to bounce around a bit, though. We're going to go into the mid to upper 90s Friday and Saturday. When we got pop-up storm chances Friday through Monday, then take a look at Sunday. We suddenly drop back to lower 90s, upper 80s by Monday, lower 90s Tuesday, and then look at Wednesday. We turn around and jump right back up into the mid to upper 90s on Wednesday, and then we cool back off a bit into the low 90s once again on Thursday, and then we get more storm chances, which is great because we need the rain, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday next week, but then our temperatures turn back around and go back up upper 90s near 100 degrees. So that's what's going to make it a little more complicated is we're going to go from what is this to, okay, this isn't so bad, back to what in the world to, okay, this day's not so bad, right back to what is going on here? So just be prepared for the temperatures to be kind of bouncing around over the next few days. They're going to be very summer-like, but the most important thing, I think, is honestly our pop-up storm chances and the rain chances next week because we definitely need more rain. We talked about how we're expecting above normal precipitation heading into the fall, and I think we're getting ready to settle into that pattern here before too much longer, which would be great across the area. Let's check your forecast. We're back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, parents have a long to-do list as kids head back to school, but there is something important many may be overlooking. Annual visits to the eye doctor can help prepare kids for the classroom. Bradley Blackburn explains why school vision screenings may not be enough.
3-year-old Zoe is starting preschool this year, and her mom Anna knows how important it is for her daughter to see clearly.
Because I don't want her to have headaches, I don't want her to have confusion, I don't want her to feel left behind. I just want her to be as comfortable as possible.
Zoe recently started wearing glasses. She picked the color.
What did you choose?
Papa.
1 out of 4 children in the U.S. has a vision disorder that needs to be diagnosed and treated, according to the American Optometric Association. That's why Dr. Viola Konevsky says a comprehensive eye exam like this is critical, once a year.
Just like they're growing, their eyes growing with them.
Most states require schools to conduct some type of vision screening, but eye doctors say it's no substitute for a full exam.
In fact, the AOA says school screenings miss up to 75% of kids with vision problems, which can lead to issues in a child's development, school performance, and self-esteem.
We're looking at the retina and the optic nerve and the macula and the lens of the eye.
Dr. Konevsky says kids' eyes should be checked in infancy and then annually starting at age 3 to 5.
7 is pretty much the end of a very, very critical period in the child's visual development.
If caught early, some vision problems can be slowed or even cured.
We brought her in April and her vision's already improving.
A back-to-school test that can be fun for kids.
That was so good.
And give them a sharper, clearer future. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Doctors say nearsightedness has increased dramatically as kids use more screens and electronic devices. And long-term use of some acid reflux drugs could have a link to dementia. A study of nearly 6,000 people found those who took what's called proton pump inhibitors for 4.5 years or more had a 33% higher risk of developing dementia than people who never took the drugs. Researchers say people should speak to their doctors before making any changes to their treatment plans. And there's a possible breakthrough in the fight against drug-resistant superbugs. A decades-long investigation out of Duke University found a new antibiotic strategy to defeat bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. Scientists developed a synthetic molecule that attacks the outer layer of the bacteria, destroying it by jamming its system. They say the next step is to test the molecule's safety and efficiency in humans. And we all know that eating vegetables is good for us, but a new study says it could play a part in lung health. Researchers in Denmark found that people with low levels of vitamin K, which is in leafy greens and some grains, are more likely to have asthma and other lung issues. Scientists say they're now looking at the possible benefits of vitamin K supplements for people with lung disease. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're keeping our eye on dense fog across the area. Take a look at this. You could see the shopping center there at 7th and Rangeline. You can't see it now. We'll have more on this dense fog and what the rest of our Thursday is shaping up to look like when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 6:30, another area business decides to close its doors for good. This time, a clothing manufacturer.
We've got ourselves some potentially dangerous dense fog out there this morning. We'll talk about when this fog will leave us and what the rest of our Thursday is looking like coming up.
Also, the Branson Board of Aldermen has approved restricting drag shows in its downtown district.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So you noted earlier on your way in that fog is very dense.
Horrible,
out there.
extremely dangerous out there. So for you guys that are on a morning commute, please drive carefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And that fog is still very dense across the region. You can see it from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. Now, just before we went to the commercial break, you couldn't see the shopping center with Big Lots, PetSmart, all those stores, and you can kind of see it again. So the fog density has been fluctuating through the morning, but overall, you can see it is still quite dense out there. Looking at various MoDOT cameras around the metro area, some of them are starting to show some improvements. 32nd and Rangeline, the diverging diamond just south of that, you can still see some fog, but then you go to I-44 and the Main Street exit, fog is still fairly dense, and if you look down I-44 from 249, you can see the fog still fairly dense and still fairly dense from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue just south of Pittsburgh. So it's not quite done with us yet, and it's going to stay fairly thick for a while. You can see where the most dense fog is. Look at Carthage now, down to a 1/10 of a mile visibility. Mount Vernon at 0. Joplin at 1/2 a mile. Miami right about 1/2 a mile. So if you are on I-44, parts of 69, I-49, 160, you need to just make sure that you are slowing down, using your low beams or your fog beams. Don't use your high beams. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the other drivers either. It makes it worse for them as well. And just take it easy if you are traveling this morning, as this fog is very dense. And you can see we now have new dense fog advisories expanded into northeastern Oklahoma as we're seeing this fog overspread the area. And we've got the rest of them in Crawford, Cherokee County, and southwest Missouri running through 9 a.m. So just, again, slow down. Give yourself time to get where you're going. Don't make a rush out of this morning. We're sitting at 69 in Joplin right now, and of course, since the visibility is less than a mile, it reports 0 mile visibility, but it is still, regardless, very low out there. Temperature-wise, though, it's a nice start for us on this Thursday morning. 65 in Iola, Parsons, Pittsburgh, 66 Neodesha, Chanute, 70 Chatopa, Newata, so a little warmer there, 68 in Miami, and 67 in Neosho. And as we get our morning started, we have the fog, the clouds, and then that'll burn off, and then we're looking at partly cloudy to mostly clear skies out there as we go near 80 by late morning. We're below average, but honestly, we're only below average by a couple of degrees, so unless you have extreme temperature sensitivities, you're not going to notice that. But we can at least say we're below average today as we go into the mid to upper 80s under partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. We head into the evening hours looking great as well as we stay warm, mostly clear skies, but a nice evening out there. And we've got overnight lows into the lower 70s. And then we start to just kind of fluctuate a bit with temperatures. Mid to upper 90s tomorrow and Saturday. Pop-up storms Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Then we go back low 90s Sunday, upper 80s Monday, low 90s again Tuesday. And then by Wednesday next week, we're hot again, back into the upper 90s. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, a new report from Wallet Hub shines a less than flattering light on the states with the most underprivileged children. The report stems from August being Children's Support Awareness Month, and 1.6 children in the U.S. are living in poverty. A couple of area states landed in the top 10, with Arkansas coming in 6th and Oklahoma ranking 9th. The states with the highest rankings have the most underprivileged. Missouri ranked 25th and Kansas ranked 33rd. Alaska claimed the dubious top spot, while New Jersey ranked the best in the nation. New Jersey, didn't see that one coming, huh? Well, the National Safety Apparel on NSA plant in Baxter Springs is preparing to button it up for good. It's closing on September 29th. Before a NSA bought the facility, it operated as the apparel manufacturer King Louis. It employs about 63 people. Under its various incarnations, the plant has been a Baxter Springs staple for years.
Well, I've been here for 35 years, and I've got a lot of family members that work here, and it's just been my life for, since I've been here.
As the plant prepares to close, it's gradually giving away its discounted apparel like jackets and shirts. Employees get first pick, and what's left goes to the public. The Branson Board of Aldermen has approved restricting drag shows in its downtown district. The shows won't be allowed within 600 feet of a church, school, or park. Lauren Schwediger has more.
If we pass this ordinance, bottom line is I'm going to hell.
The Branson mayor, Larry Milton, says he's received many hateful emails and phone calls about an ordinance surrounding drag shows.
This ordinance is saying that use is allowed based on our Constitution. We're just putting up some guardrails.
Tuesday night, City Council voted 4-2 to pass the proposed ordinance, which will now restrict drag shows to the downtown area of Branson and will require a special use permit. Some in the town say they want even more restrictions.
I personally am against drag shows completely, and I would love to see whatever law we could pass even further than this one.
While others say restricting them to one part of town is violating First Amendment rights.
If this ordinance passes, the city is going to get sued. Is that what you want? Do you guys want to be the first ones to set the precedent for violating people's First Amendment rights?
The city says the ordinance aims to preserve Branson's family-friendly values by limiting drag shows to the downtown area away from the 76th Strip. It will not allow drag shows within 600 feet of any religious institution, school, park, or another drag show establishment. And no one on the outside should be able to see what's happening inside. Each meeting on the ordinance has brought out people from both sides.
We're here mostly to raise awareness of these issues and oppose any public policies and laws that support or promote the LGBT ideology.
Drag has been a part of this diverse community for decades. The minuscule amount of recent drag shows haven't harmed anybody, but the hate spewed from this podium about them certainly has.
People under 18 years old are banned from drag shows under Branson's new ordinance. And that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up on this half hour, the KOAM Morning News. Why companies should look at the power of female spending.
And we've got ourselves a very foggy start across the 4 states this morning. This is our camera here at the KOAM studios. You can't really tell, but that's what we're looking at, is just right outside here on Highway 69. You got to make sure you're taking it slow this morning. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this, but first, we're going to go ahead and take a quick live look at some of the fog at City Park in Columbus.
In Consumer Watch this morning, on Wednesday, Taylor Swift fans in Los Angeles flocked to SoFi Stadium to see the singer's final U.S. Eras Tour performance until October of 2024. Swift's 6-night engagement there has brought in major money from LA businesses, and Vanessa Yurkovic has more on how Swift and other female celebrities are feeding not only female empowerment, but also the economy.
We're waiting to see if we get the tickets.
It would have been a cruel summer if not for this moment.
We're going to Taylor Swift!
This group of moms, sisters, sisters-in-laws, and cousins are Swifties.
How many of you ladies in the room have been to the Taylor Swift concert?
We also have Barbie fans.
I loved going with my family. I don't think I would have rather had it any other way.
Women and girls of all ages are flocking to Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Barbie.
These women are resonating with other women in a big, big way.
Yes.
What are you seeing in this moment that may be different than other moments with these 3 women?
Women are not to be underestimated. They lift up economies, and that impact is not to be overlooked. But brands haven't been talking to them in their language for a really long time.
That language is authenticity and empowerment. Generations of women are sharing these experiences together. The result, $1 billion in box office sales for Barbie, Beyonce's economy-driving tour, and extra U.S. dates added later this year for Swift's Eras Tour to meet demand.
It was a gift to me to watch them experience her, right? It was amazing. I remember when Taylor came out, I was videoing their reaction. And that is something that will live with me forever.
And that feeling, bottled up, is priceless. It's unleashed the spending power of women, which has always existed, but is now being harnessed through other fearless women.
It was nice to be a part of things that had such a girl-positive message, which is definitely not the norm. So hopefully, maybe this sparks the turn, and maybe we get to see some more of that.
2 canceled flights was not going to stop Helen Polisi from meeting her daughter Julie in Los Angeles.
I made it! Woo!
For the final leg of Taylor Swift's tour in LA.
Come hell or high water, I was going today. So I made it happen.
A last-minute first-class ticket later, 2 concert tickets, dinners out, the outfits, and the beads. It all adds up.
Men go to a lot of sporting games and spend a lot of money on sporting tickets, and that's never considered absurd or over the top. Why? For us, this is my Super Bowl.
The duo also has plans to see Barbie together during their self-described girl power weekend.
This summer has really been a celebration of women coming together and really embracing female friendships and doing things together. It's the first time women my age, women my mom's age, even little girls are seeing femininity and femaleness portrayed in such a positive light where you just feel so happy.
As far as the effect of Swift's shows in Los Angeles, the California Center for Jobs and the Economy estimates the Eras Tour will bring $320 million to the city. And the FDA announced a voluntary recall of the brand of 1-pound packages of organic green kiwi fruit because they have the potential to be contaminated with listeria. Listeria can cause serious and sometimes fatal infections in children, elderly people, and others with weakened immune systems. The recalled kiwi is grown in New Zealand, exported to North America, and repacked locally for sale under the Zespri brand. And next week, Burger King is introducing a new lineup of BK Royal Crispy Wraps. The chain's latest chicken-based creation will be available in 3 flavors: classic, spicy, and honey mustard. They are set to launch at participating restaurants nationwide on Monday. And Mattel is imitating life on the silver screen when its new limited edition of Weird Barbie doll. Mattel says the doll wears an outfit inspired by the character played by Kate McKinnon in the blockbuster Barbie movie. The doll is available to order through August 18th. That's it for Consumer Watch. Now let's take it over to Chris Warner for another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a bit of a foggy start across the area. This fog, thankfully, of course, will eventually go away, which is great because we have a beautiful Thursday ahead of us before temperatures really start to heat up across the 4 states. That's not news we want to hear, but unfortunately it is a fact. And we'll talk about those facts in the weather forecast here in just a few more minutes. It's also about time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. You know what? They're coming up after the break. But before we get to that, these folks are busy getting ready for CBS Morning. So let's see what they've got coming up for us.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, we'll talk with the creator of the hugely popular webcomic Strange Planet and bringing his colorful beings to the television. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Time for some Thursday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we're going to begin in Jasper with Zane Etchinson celebrating birthday number 5. Happy birthday, Zane.
And happy 6th birthday to Olivia Ross. She is starting kindergarten this year. Love, Nani and Papa.
And over in Chanute, we've got Mila Westbrook celebrating number 16. Happy birthday, Mila.
And happy birthday to Nicole Earle, who's turning 20 in Webb City, Missouri.
And we've got Steve Leonard, Dr. Steve Leonard, and he looks pretty excited there, celebrating the big 5-0 today. Happy birthday.
And over in Thayer, Kansas, happy 58th birthday to John Bauer.
And back in Chanute we go with Robin Shipley celebrating birthday number 63. Happy birthday, Robin.
And happy 80th birthday to Barbara Sherman over in Mount Vernon. Her family and friends wish her a wonderful day.
And down in Joplin, we've got Carolyn Tomlinson celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, Carolyn.
And happy birthday to Doug Westervelt over in Columbus, Kansas.
All right, that was a pretty decent birthday list. And what I love most is it says 0 no pics. That means you guys are sending more pictures in, and we want more of them. Caitlin, where should they send them?
Well, submit your pictures and any stories or messages you want included to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, you know what we really want you to do? We want you to take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get yourself special deals from local businesses, and you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com, sign up for that KOAM Birthday Club today. All right, what do we got? We got fog out there right now. As our camera at 7th and Rangeline, you can see starting to burn off because we can actually see the shopping center out there right now, which is certainly a plus. We could not see that through some of the morning, and you know that's not very far from where our camera is, and you can see that fog starting to burn off. But if you look off, we still have it out there. MoDOT cameras around the metro area, you can still see some fog. I love how it looks off in the distance here from the MoDOT camera down by the Main Street exit on I-44. Still some fog distant at 32nd and Rangeline. You can see it there as well from this MoDOT cam. And it's starting to clear up a little bit, but take a look down the way on I-44 from 249. You can see that dense fog still hanging out down there. And we head up over to Pittsburgh. KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. Still some pretty dense fog out there as well. And so we got to make sure we're still taking precautions. Now we've got Mount Vernon and Carthage both reporting 0 visibility. Joplin still reporting about a half mile. Miami at a mile, about a mile and a half in Pittsburgh. Just over a mile in Fort Scott and 4/10 of a mile in Nevada and Stockton. So we're talking Highway 69, I-44, I-49, Highway 160, Highway 126, Highway 400. If you're traveling anywhere in this area, you've got to slow down, take precautions, don't use your high beams, make sure you use your low beams, and of course if you have fog lights, make sure you use those as well because it is still foggy. We got dense fog advisories that now extend through northeastern Oklahoma into parts of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri through at least 9 a.m. this morning, and that is because we're going to hold on to this fog for a little bit. We're sitting at 69 in Joplin right now. Humidity is up there at 96%, and with a calm breeze, it's going to take a minute for this fog to clear out, but it will eventually do so as we go through the morning. Temperatures this morning, though, not bad at all to start our Thursday, especially considering that we are still in August. We got 63 Stockton, 65 in Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Parsons, 66 Neodesha, Chanute, Independence, Lamar, 70 in Chatopa, and 68 Miami and Carthage. As we get our morning started, again, we're going to be cloudy, we're going to be foggy, if you will, through at least 8, 9 o'clock. Then we'll start to see that fog burning off, and we'll go partly cloudy, mostly clear skies near 80 by 11. And as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at a really great Thursday. It is technically below average on the high, not by much, but it is technically below average today. So we go mid to upper 80s, again, under mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. And we'll hold on to that same situation through the evening. Mostly clear, partly cloudy skies. Beautiful weather out there, decent temperatures to get outside and kind of enjoy. And then as we go into the overnight hours, still not bad. We go back into the lower 70s under mostly clear skies across the area. So a great evening ahead of us. Then we start to see temperatures bounce around and play with our minds a little bit as we go into Friday and Saturday. We're looking mid to upper 90s for our highs. We have pop-up storm chances Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. As you know, pop-up storms on occasion can get strong, low-grade severe. We're not anticipating anything crazy, nothing like what we've experienced the last couple of days in terms of the strong to severe thunderstorm chances, but you know they can get a little unruly here and there. But we do have those pop-up storm chances, great rain chances, at least for some of us. We go back down in the low 90s, upper 80s Sunday, Mondays. This is why I'm talking about that temperature roller coaster. We hang on low 90s on Tuesday. Then as we go into next week, Wednesday kicks right back up to the upper 90s near 100, and then we drop right back down into the low 90s, upper 80s by Thursday. We see additional thunderstorm chances Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then we go right back up again Friday and Saturday of next week, upper 90s, right back near 100 degrees. So a bit of a temperature roller coaster for us over the next several days, but otherwise not too bad out there across the 4 states for the next few days. Well, coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., I'm going to tell you how one woman's adventure turned into a scare.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Knoll, Missouri man accused of shooting a dog with an arrow pled guilty in that case yesterday and has been sentenced. Authorities say while they couldn't prove that Jeffrey Howard shot the dog with the arrow, they could prove he didn't seek medical attention for it. So Howard pleaded guilty to failure to get medical care for a dog. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and must pay $500 in restitution to a Knoll Animal Rescue. An active shooter simulation in Neosho, Missouri yesterday was a joint exercise involving first responders from multiple agencies. The idea was to allow responder agencies to evaluate current procedures and make needed improvements for possible real-world events and worst-case scenarios. The sheriff says yesterday's drill helped expose some potential communication problems between responders that need to be corrected. And the Kansas Department of Transportation says it's stopping work on the US 69 corridor western alignment through Crawford County. The project would expand an 18-mile corridor of US 69 to a 4-lane freeway starting at the Cherokee-Crawford County line and continuing north of the city of Arma. It would have led to traffic around many towns in the area, which led to a lot of pushback from residents and public discussions. KDOT says that pushback is the reason they're stopping that plan. They'll conduct a new survey to figure out the next steps later in the year. And the National Safety Apparel, or NSA, plant in Baxter Springs is preparing to button it up for good. It's closing on September 29th. Before NSA bought the facility, it operated as the apparel manufacturer King Louie. It employs about 63 people. Under its various incarnations, the plant has been a Baxter Springs staple for years. As the plant prepares to close, it's gradually giving away its discounted apparel like jackets and shirts. Employees get first pick, and what's left goes to the public. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
As you head out the door this morning, dense fog across the area. Dense fog advisories northeast Oklahoma, southwest Missouri, and Cherokee and Crawford counties in southeast Kansas through 9 a.m. Now, once that fog burns off, we're looking at a great day. Partly cloudy, mostly clear skies. Temperatures mid to upper 80s. And as we head through the evening, a nice evening, warm, otherwise mostly clear skies. And mostly clear skies overnight tonight as we go back into the lower 70s. Temperatures start to heat up, though, tomorrow and Saturday, mid to upper 90s. Pop-up storms tomorrow through next Monday, and temperatures are going to bounce around a bit. We'll cool back down, low 90s, upper 80s Sunday and Monday, low 90s again Tuesday, and then we go back into the upper 90s by Wednesday.
All right, well, we're coming up today. We are making Buckeye brownies in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings, or, of course, you can switch with us on Fox 14.
That's right. Come on over to Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
And we've got Dustin Luno from the Joplin Fire Department in the studio today. He's going to tell us all about back-to-school safety, and we have Pastor Talent in for the back-to-school event taking place in Pittsburgh.
That's going to be a fun one.
It's back-to-school time. So now as a parent with kids, back-to-school time is something I absolutely look forward to. I love the kids, but I also love when they're in school sometimes. They learn things. They're
learning.
Of course, as a kid, you're like, it's back to school. This stinks. So you go into Walmart as a kid and you see all the back-to-school banners and you immediately feel sick to your stomach.
Absolutely. Some scars never fully heal.
They don't. I still feel that when I walk in there. I'm like, oh, man.
Well,
thank you so much for joining us here. We're going to see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you right here today at noon.